On the Road with Kelly and Bob is brought to you by Mueller Metal Roofs and Buildings. Made in America, made to last. Coming up on this episode...
I grew up with my grandmother making biscuits for every meal. So they were the quick bread that went in right before whatever meal she was serving.
Hi, we're Kelly
and Bob Phillips, and we're on the perpetual road trip of America's back roads,
where the journey is always the destination. Thanks for joining us for On the Road with Kelly and Bob. And Bob, what do you think of when I say Southern food?
Food in general. I'm going to say fried chicken, country ham, and biscuits. And when I say biscuits, I don't mean just at breakfast, because I grew up having biscuits at every meal.
The historic district of downtown Charleston, South Carolina, a well-known foodie's paradise with places like Church and Union, where the Moroccan meatballs are legendary.
Ansem, where people stand in line for the smoked tomato scallops. And over there on King Street, you'll find Callie's Hot Little Biscuit, where you can get your choice of, well, biscuits. Just biscuits.
Started a business with one flavor, and it was a very regional product that most people don't know anything about. No vegetarian option, nothing, just a country ham biscuit.
Carrie Morey is the founder of Callie's Hot Little Biscuit. Callie is her mom.
Where did the recipes come from?
Well, almost all of them are my mom's. We have taken the base recipe and made variations along the last 19 years, but we started with the country ham biscuit.
You may need to describe the country ham biscuit.
So it's a little different, but in the South, country ham is a ham that's cured in salt, and it is incredibly savory. And so my mother made these biscuits that were sharp cheddar biscuits, and she split them down the middle. She whipped Dijon mustard butter together. And so that kind of cuts the super savory part of the country ham and just makes this perfect marriage of country ham and Dijon mustard butter and cheesy biscuit. And the ham was chopped, because when you take a bite out of a biscuit with a slice of ham, the whole piece of ham comes out. And so we always tell our front people, educating people on our biscuits, make sure you tell them it's chopped ham for a reason, not because we're giving you the end of the bottom of the barrel, but because we want you to have bites of ham in every bite, so you're not standing there with a piece of ham hanging out of your mouth and a biscuit with no ham.
And you give me two of those, and I've got a meal.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, they are so distinctively different, but yet very comforting in all things Southern. At every party growing up that I've ever gone to, and any Southerner would be able to relate to a ham biscuit, specifically a country ham biscuit.
Besides biscuits, one thing Callie's Hot Little Biscuit has is an ambiance all its own. This store on King Street was built from an alley that ran between two other structures, old historic Charleston storefronts,
with walkway between them, until that walkway was closed up and became a long, narrow spot that's just perfect for making and serving biscuits.
But an old alley, 8 feet wide by 80 feet long, stand-up grown bar. The whole concept is fashioned around when I lived in New York for 3 years, and all the little bodegas that were, half the size of this, and you shuffle in and get the best breakfast sandwich you've ever had and a great cup of coffee, and that's what it was meant to be. It was meant to be a way for me to communicate my love of biscuits, to spread the word about Callie's brand, for people to come in and kind of be bunched up together and hunker down on a really good breakfast sandwich and then go, and they're off on their day. So,
what do you want people to take away whenever they come in here and have one of your biscuits?
Well, I hope that they say this is the best biscuit I've ever had. I hope that it's this experience that when they leave, they are still wanting more.
Now, just because the main thing they sell here is biscuits, don't think they only have one kind of biscuit.
There are lots of choices, and Carrie and her staff are always coming up with new ideas.
The world is our oyster, so we have all kinds of biscuits, but sweet and savory. The base is a buttermilk biscuit, and then we add everything from, herbs to sweet things like sugar, and my favorite recent is our creamsicle biscuit, which is orange juice and orange zest and vanilla and sugar. But the base, the core is the buttermilk, the country ham biscuit, the cheese and chive, the sharp cheddar, cinnamon with whipped cinnamon butter in the center. That's actually how the creamsicle biscuit came about. I had an employee in our Charlotte store. He said, my grandmother used to make this creamsicle biscuit. And I said, wait, stop. Tell me everything about it. I need to understand. And he's like, yeah, she just put some orange juice in. Because, I always say when I'm giving a biscuit class, it's flour, fat, and liquid, and love. That's the components of a perfect biscuit. It can be any fat, and the liquid can be anything. It can be water. It can be goat's milk. It can be orange juice. It can be Coca-Cola. It can be anything. I'm really a purist, and I say that knowing that my favorite is the creamsicle. So I'd say that's the strangest.
That's your favorite, the creamsicle?
I would say it is my favorite non-traditional. It's delicious. But
more of a dessert biscuit?
Yeah, more of a dessert biscuit.
Certainly not savory.
It took me back to my childhood thinking about getting the push-up pops from the
ice cream
truck. And that is such a nostalgic flavor. So this is Christina, and she is making biscuits today.
Christina.
What are you making, Christina?
I'm making a shortcake biscuit.
So she's making a shortcake biscuit, which is a little different from our buttermilk. It is made with whole milk, sugar, vanilla, double butter, because that's what makes the shortcake short. And you probably need me to give you a little bit of milk, huh?
Yes, that'd be great.
While you're here,
You just knew that by looking at it.
Yeah, because we like biscuits that have wetty, tacky, sticky dough. We don't want a dry dough. And so I'm going to just tell her scrape from the sides and the bottom and lift up that dry flour to kind of incorporate it all into the center in a ball with the milk. So you can tell just by adding that liquid that it's already much better. And so I would just say, Christina, scrape off the sides, go underneath the bottom, and just pull it all together and don't over mix it. But this is the best dough because it's like cake batter.
So good. I love the shortcake.
You're just eating biscuit dough by itself.
It's good.
I'm not gonna make you eat from my fingers, but you really ought to taste it because it's really good.
Cake batter.
Yeah, it's like cake. It's like if a biscuit and a pound cake had a baby. It's super important to me to only give the best customer service, to only lead with kindness, and I think that is a part of the entrepreneurial journey that I didn't think about has been really fun and meaningful to me to be able to hopefully lead by example and to leave a mark in a positive way on our team members that are here with us, some for a season, some for a year, some forever. I think that is a really cool thing to be able to be a part of somebody's life journey, and I hope that I'm doing a good job with that. That's just as equally as important to me as serving the biscuits. I definitely think that I try really hard to drive that train, but it would not happen without all of these people. So my job is to show them my passions and hope that they like working here because it's a positive place to work and they want to work hard because I want them to feel good about themselves. And when they do all that, and all those things work in my favor, but there's no way I could do this without the 40 some odd people that are behind me or with me. They're not even behind me. They're leading me too.
Almost 20 years ago, Carrie Morey started making and selling biscuits in Charleston because she grew up having them at every meal and noticed that tradition seemed to be dying.
She wanted a job where she could make her own schedule so she could raise her family. And she wanted to pass down some of those family meal traditions she grew up with to younger generations.
It all came together in the form of an unusual food spot that is now an important part of the South Carolina culinary scene and an important part of people's lives who want to start their day with a hot little biscuit.
You know, I'm just a simple home cook who was graced with learning how to make biscuits and grew up with my family's biscuits. And I don't know that it is a culinary expertise that I have. I just have a passion and a love for what I know, which is I know Southern food and I know biscuits. By now, I really know biscuits.
We were fortunate to spend some time with Carrie and hear a lot more of her story, which we found to be very inspiring.
Yeah, we did. She's the perfect example to me of the entrepreneurial spirit, the person who identified something she wanted to do, started it slowly, then grew the business while she grew her family.
Here's more of that conversation.
It is very different here in Charleston than it was when I was growing up, but it's still amazingly charming and a great place to live and a great place to raise children. But I grew up in a very Southern family, and life was very simple. We just, played outside and cooked supper and talked about at supper what we were going to have for breakfast and talked about at breakfast what we were going to have for lunch. So just a typical Southern life,
Built around food a lot.
100% built around food and entertaining and family and
The food is a huge part of Southern life, isn't it?
I think it is probably the cornerstone of all Southerners' rearing. I mean, at least it was for me and all my friends. I mean, that's kind of just how we show love and communicate. I saw a need in the market for a better biscuit, and I felt like the grocery aisle was, for lack of a better term, a little stale. And we knew that we had a great product, better than any product on the market, and we had demand in that we had customers catering people that were asking for them. And so never did I have this vision, but I did have a vision of getting handmade, high-end biscuits out to people that really cared about artisan food.
Tell us about your kids, your family.
We have 3 daughters. I started the business when our first daughter was 8 months old. And so she just celebrated her 20th birthday. They've all worked here. 2 of them currently work here. We're just like a super close family, 3 girls, lots of drama, lots of hysteria. And even our dogs, a lab biscuit and a chocolate shortcake are girls. So my husband is completely outnumbered.
You have a dog named Biscuit?
And another dog named Shortcake.
They're all named for food.
You're all
and
into
a cat
this,
named
aren't
Honey.
you?
So we were in an e-commerce business when there was no e-commerce. So from 2005 to 2014, we sold online. But can you imagine how slow it was? Because there was no way to advertise an internet business before social media came along.
Right.
So it was very fourth quarter, very word of mouth, and we had our loyal following. And when social media came along, we happened to open. I just needed a way to advertise the business, and trying to get the word out about Callie's Biscuits was a lot harder. To say that I'm a biscuit business, we were like, what is that? What is a biscuit business? What do you mean you're a biscuit
So you're
business?
sending me Pillsbury biscuits through the mail.
Right. So, this really helped us get the word out, having a brick and mortar. And most people open a brick and mortar and then have an e-commerce presence. We kind of did it the opposite way. And I did that because I really wanted to build a business around the lifestyle that I wanted to lead, which was wanting to be at home with our girls and raise them. And I think every female struggles with this. You want to be able to have something of your own and have a career, but you also want to not
Be mom.
compromise on having your schedule be what it is. And so that was the goal. And so that's why we started as a mail order business, because I could do that from home, technically. And so that's how it started. And 19 years later, for the most part, I'm still doing that.
So Would you say that your plan worked out for that? Because that is a struggle for a lot of women, especially.
Yeah, I think as we've gotten bigger and grown and had more opportunities, there are things that I've had to say no to so that I could continue to remind myself why I started the business, right? So, and that's a struggle, but it's also a great thing because it's like, okay, but this was the original reason that I started it. And for me, that's the definition of success, is to be able to have the balance of having the opportunities to do both. And couldn't do that without this group. Like, they were here at the crack of dawn this morning, and I'm showing up just now because I had to take a daughter to some appointment. So that is super important to me. And it doesn't always work out like that, but 95% of the time it does. So I feel very blessed. And if that is all that I get out of this, then I feel like I have been successful.
Is this lifestyle, that starting your own business, etc., is something you'd recommend to other people to do?
I would recommend being an entrepreneur if you start a business within your passion and you know what you want your lifestyle to be like. Because if you don't have like your goal of why I'm doing it, then you can get super caught up in this rat race of what's the purpose? What's the purpose, and are you going to be just running yourself ragged? Because being an entrepreneur is hard and it's lonely, and it's also very fulfilling, and it does give you the freedom to create your own schedule, but you're also the only one that you're counted on at the end of the day. So you need to be really mindful of why you're doing it, not just do it to do it, but why.
What do you mean you're lonely?
Well, I just think if you're trying to grow a business, there's really nobody else around to help you at the end of the day that cares. We want to be a part of your family's table. We want to be a part of your menus. We want to be a part of your traditions. Another great compliment that I receive often is that, we order these for every birthday or every holiday. And I mean, that's a huge responsibility to be a part of somebody's family tradition. And I don't take it lightly, and I love it, and I hope that I can continue to add more, be a part of more tables and be a part of more traditions.
You mentioned the culinary adventure called Charleston.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of competition here.
I know.
Tell us about this city and food.
Well, this city has not always been like this. And I remember, in my teenage years, there were only 3 or 4, and to get in would be a really big deal and a big splurge for our family to go. And now, our children have grown up that, every 3 nights a week they expect to be taken out to the nicest dinner. And, it's not easy keeping up with my children. I've created this monster, and, now they're like wanting oysters 3 times a week at the Ordinary, and tuna tartare at so-and-so. It's just not how, where's the Kraft macaroni and cheese? That's what I grew up on.
Exactly.
Look at what you've built. How does this make you feel?
I honestly don't think about that very often. I'm just thinking about how to keep it alive and how to maybe grow it a little. And I think that if I were to sit around and think about it too much, then we probably wouldn't be where we are today. And I'm very humbled and grateful and all every time I see a line, and I love it. But I don't want to rest on my laurels. I want to keep going, and I want to keep working hard, and I want to keep serving and getting better too. My team, we can always do better. I'm a person that really loves surprises, and I love to take advantage of every opportunity that comes my way, and I'm never too busy to speak to people or to meet with people. And I think whatever the journey is supposed to be will happen, but I love working, and I have no intentions of not working, and it's kind of my purpose in life other than my children. So I'll just let the roads take me where they may and see what happens.
And if you're ever in Charleston, South Carolina, you must stop at Callie's Hot Little Biscuit.
And thanks to Mueller for sponsoring this show. Thanks to you for joining us on this show. And if you have an idea for a story for us anywhere in America, just go to our website, ontheroadwithkellyandbob.com, and send it to us.
Don't forget to tell your friends to download the free Odyssey app and listen to On the Road with Kelly and Bob anytime, anywhere.